Chapter 41. When in doubt, turn into a biting insect. I was starting to hate the Utgard Bowling Ultimate Tournament. Hearthstone went next. He gestured to the arcade, and with me translating, challenged the Giants to bring forth their highest scorer of any game of the contestants' choosing. Hugo's Jotun Jammers team nominated a guy named Kyle, who marched over to the skee-ball lane and scored a perfect 10,000 points. When the Giants cheered, Hearthstone walked to the Starsky & Hutch pinball machine and put a red gold coin in the slot. "Wait," Hugo protested. "That's not even the same game." "It doesn't have to be," I said. "Hearth said any game of the contestants' choosing. Plural. Your guy chose skee-ball. Hearth chooses pinball." The Giants grumbled, but in the end, they relented. Blitzen grinned at me. "You're in for a treat, kid. Hearth is a wizard." "I know that." "No, I mean a pinball wizard." Hearthstone fired up the first ball. I didn't see him use any magic, but he quickly destroyed Kyle's score, which, granted, wasn't fair, since pinball scores go way higher than 1,000 points. Even after he'd passed 500 million, Hearth kept playing. He nudged the machine and hit the flippers with such intensity I wondered if he was thinking of his father and all those coins he'd made Hearth collect for good deeds. On the machine, Hearth quickly became a make-believe billionaire. "Enough!" Utgard Loki yelled, pulling the plug on the machine. "You've proved your skill. I think we can all agree that the deaf elf sure plays a mean pinball." "Who's next?" Blitzen challenged the Giants to a complete makeover. He promised he could turn any giant into someone more dashing and fashionable. The Giants unanimously elected a Jotun named Grum, who had apparently been sleeping under the bar and collecting grime and lint in there for the past 40 years. I was pretty sure he was the minor deity Bad Hygiene. Blitzen was not deterred. He whipped out his sewing implements and got to work. It took him a few hours to slap together new clothes from odds and ends in the bowling alley's gift shop. Then he took Grum to the bathroom for a proper spa treatment. When they emerged, Grum's eyebrows had been waxed, his beard and hair were trimmed neater than the most metrosexual hipsters. He wore a shimmery gold bowling shirt with Grum stitched in the front, along with silvery pants and matching bowling shoes. The giant ladies swooned. The giant dudes edged away from him, intimidated by his star power. Grum crawled back under the bar and started to snore. "I can't fix bad habits," Blitz said, "but you saw him. Did I beat the challenge, or what?" There was a lot of muttering, but no one dared argue. Even magically enhanced ugliness was no match for a dwarven degree in fashion design. Utgard Loki leaned toward me and murmured, "You're doing very well. I'll have to make this last challenge really hard for you, so you have a high chance of dying. That should solidify my liege men's respect." "Wait, what?" The helpful king raised his hands to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, truly we have some interesting guests, but never fear, we will have our revenge. 2 guests remain. As fate would have it, that's the perfect number for a doubles bowling challenge. Since bowling is the reason we're here today, let's have our last 2 visitors face off against our defending champions from Tiny's Turkey Bowlers." The Giants hollered and whooped. Tiny looked over at me and made a finger across the throat sign, which I was getting really tired of seeing. "The winners will take the usual prize," Utgard Loki announced, "which is, of course, the losers' heads." I glanced at Alex Fierro and realized we were now a team. "I suppose this is a bad time to tell you," Alex said. "I've never bowled." Our opponents from Tiny's Turkey Bowlers were brothers with delightful names of Herg and Blurg. It was difficult to tell them apart. In addition to being identical twins, they wore matching gray shirts and football helmets, the latter probably to keep us from throwing axes at their faces. The only differences I could see were their bowling balls. Herg's was airbrushed with the face of Prince. Maybe he had provided the bar's playlist. His brother Blurg had a red ball with Kurt Cobain's face on it. Blurg kept looking back and forth between me and the ball like he was trying to imagine me without a choppy haircut. "All right, my friends," Utgard Loki announced. "We'll be playing an abbreviated game of 3 frames. Alex leaned toward me. "What's a frame?" "Shh," I told her. In fact, I was trying to remember the rules of bowling. It had been years since I played. There was an alley in Hotel Valhalla, but since the Einerjar did most everything to the death, I hadn't been anxious to check it out. "A very simple contest," Utgard Loki continued. "Highest score wins. First team up, the insignificant mortals. Nobody cheered as Alex and I walked to the ball return. What do you think? Alex whispered. Basically, I said, you're supposed to roll the ball down the lane and knock over the pins. She glared at me, her pale eye twice as bright and angry as her dark one. I know that much, but we're supposed to break the rules, right? What's the illusion here? You think Herg and Blurg are minor gods? I glanced back at Sam, Blitz, and Hearth, who'd been forced to watch from behind the railing. Their expressions told me nothing that I didn't know already. We were in serious trouble. I wrapped my fingers around my pendant and thought, hey, Jack, any advice? Jack hummed sleepily as he tends to do in pendant form. No. Thanks, I thought. Huge assist from the magic sword. Insignificant mortals, Utgard Loki called. Is there a problem? Do you wish to forfeit? No, I said. No, we're good. I took a deep breath. Okay, Alex, we've got 3 frames. 3 rounds of play. Let's just see how the first frame goes. Maybe it'll give us some ideas. Watch how I bowl. That's a statement I'd never thought I would utter. Bowling was not one of my superpowers. Nevertheless, I stepped into the approach with my pink fuzzy dice-themed bowling ball. Hey, it was the only one that fit my fingers. I tried to remember the pointers my shop teacher, Mr. Gent, had provided us when we had our middle school orientation party at Lucky Strike Lanes. I reached the lane, aimed, and threw with all my energy might. The ball rolled slowly, sluggishly, and stopped halfway down the lane. The giants howled with laughter. I retrieved the ball and walked back, my face burning. As I passed Alex, she grumbled, Thanks, that was very instructive. I returned to my seat. Behind the railing, Sam looked grim. Hearthstone signed his most helpful advice. Do better. Blitzen grinned and gave me 2 thumbs up, which made me wonder if he understood the rules of bowling. Alex came to the line. She did a granny roll, hefting the ball between her legs and chucking it down the lane. The dark blue sphere bounced once, twice, then rolled a little further than mine before toppling into the gutter. More laughter from the Jotun crowd. A few high-fived each other. Gold coins exchanged hands. Time for the turkey bowlers, Utgard Loki shouted. A roar of applause as Herg stepped up to the next lane over. Hold up, I said. Aren't we supposed to use the same lane as us? Aren't they supposed to use the same lane as us? Tiny pushed through the crowd, his eyes wide with mock innocence. Oh, but the king didn't say anything about that. He just said highest score wins. Go ahead, boys. Herg threw Prince's head. It rolled straight down the middle at lightning speed and crashed into the pins with a sound like an exploding marimba. Giants cheered and pumped their fist. Herg turned, grinning behind the face mask of his helmet. He patted Blurg on the shoulder, and they exchanged a few words. I need to figure out what they're saying, Alex said. I'll be back. But I need to pee, Alex yelled. Some of the giants frowned at this interruption, but generally when someone yells, I need to pee in a crowd, people let them go pee. The other options are not great. Alex disappeared into the little giant girl's room. Meanwhile, Blurg came to the approach. He hefted his Kurt Cobain ball and rolled it down the lane. Cobain's face flashed in and out of sight, saying hello, 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 until it crashed into the pins and sent them flying, with lots of rocker spirit. Another strike, Tiny yelled, cheering and mead drinking all around, except among me and my friends. Blurg and Herg rendezvoused in the ball return, sniggering and glancing in my direction. While the crowd was still celebrating and making new bets, Alex returned from the restroom. I have finished peeing, she announced. She hurried over and grabbed my arm. I just heard Herg and Blurg talking, she whispered. How? I eavesdropped. I do this thing where I could turn into a horsefly. Oh. I glanced at Sam, who was frowning severely. I'm familiar with the horsefly thing. Their lane is a normal bowling lane, Alex reported, but ours? I don't know. I heard Herg say, good luck to them hitting the White Mountains. The White Mountains, I repeated. In New Hampshire? Alex shrugged. Unless they have White Mountains in Jotunheim, too. Either way, those aren't bowling pins. I squinted at the end of our lane, but the pins still looked like pins, not mountains. Then again, Little Billy hadn't looked like fear until he did. I shook my head. How is that possible? No clue, Alex said, but if our bowling balls are rolling toward a mountain range in a different world, we'll never reach the end of the lane. We definitely won't be able to knock down any pins. How do we undo the hex? Come on, insignificant mortals, Tiny yelled. Stop stalling! It was hard to think, with a crowd of giants yelling at me. I'm not sure, I told Alex. I need more time. Right now, the best thing I can think of is to sabotage their lane. It was impulsive, I admit, but I charged the foul line and threw my pink dice bowling ball overhand with all my strength, straight into Herg and Blurg's lane. The ball landed with such force it cracked the hardwood floor, ricocheting backwards into the crowd, felled one of the spectators, who squawked like a startled chicken. "Ah!" the onlookers yelled. "What was that?" Tiny bellowed. "You brained Eustace!" Utgard Loki scowled and rose from his throne. "Tiny is right, mortal. You can't cross-bowl. Once you have chosen a lane, you must stick to it." "Nobody said that," I protested. "Well, I'm saying it now. Continue the frame." A giant in the audience rolled my dice ball back to me. I looked at Alex, but I had no advice to offer her. How do you bowl when your target is a distant mountain range? Alex muttered something under her breath. As she made her approach, she changed into a full-sized grizzly bear. She waddled on her back legs, the bowling ball clutched in her front paws. She reached the foul line and came down on all fours, hurling the ball forward with 300 pounds of pure force. The ball almost made it to the first pin before stalling. A collective sigh of relief went up among the giants. "Now it's your turn." Tiny rubbed his palms eagerly. "Go on, boys." "But, boss," Herc said, "our lane has a big dent in it." "Just move over a lane," Tiny said. "Oh, no," I said. "You heard the king. Once you've chosen a lane, you must stick to it." Tiny growled. Even the Elvis tattoo on his arm looked angry. "Fine. Herg, Blurg, just do your best. You already have an unbeatable lead." Herg and Blurg didn't look happy, but they bowled their second frame. They managed to avoid the dent in the lane, but both of them rolled gutter balls, adding no points to their score. "That's all right," Tiny assured him. He sneered at Alex and me. "I was tempted to step on you two in the forest, but now I'm glad I didn't. Unless you bowl a perfect last frame, you can't even tie their score. Let's see what you got, mortals. I can't wait to cut off your heads."